Welcome, family. Today we're going to be making vegetarian chili with tofu with yours truly, Chef T. Cox. Okay, so there's a couple of things that have to happen before you even start your cooking. Your tofu, you want to double freeze it. That means you freeze it, thaw it out, freeze it again, and then thaw it out just before you get ready to cook. Now, the next thing that you're gonna do is you're going to press your tofu. If you've ever cooked with tofu, you know it comes with a lot of water or it absorbs water. So coming out of the pack, it's gonna have a lot of water. What you wanna do is you wanna press it. If you got a tofu press, then use the tofu press. If you don't, quick hack is just take a pan, set your tofu. You wanna wrap your tofu in paper towel, as you can see. Set that in that pan, and then you want to take, I have a cast iron skillet or something heavy that you can actually sit on that tofu, and what it does is it presses all of the water out of the tofu, and then at that point it's ready to go. Now, so you're ready to dice the tofu, and you want to use proper cutting techniques, which I'm using a pinch grip cutting technique, are basically how you actually are supposed to hold your knife. If you look pretty closely, you'll see that I'm using my thumb and my index finger to actually grip the knife and hold it tightly so it doesn't slip out of my hand. And then as you see, I'm cutting the tofu using a claw grip with my other hand, which this keeps my fingers out of the way of possibly getting cut by that sharp knife. Okay, family, so we have your mise en place, which actually means everything in its place. In other words, these are your ingredients. Okay, so you have 1 pound block of super firm tofu, or you can just use the extra firm tofu, medium dice, olive oil for your pan. You got 1 1/2 cup of red onions, or you can use yellow onions, whichever one you prefer, medium diced. I got 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I got 1 tablespoon of chili powder, or for me, I use the chili hack, which I basically use McCormick, 1 pack of the McCormick chili seasoning. You got 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. You got 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, or for those that are watching their sodium, you can use tamari instead. I got 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and you got 1 can of diced tomatoes, 1 cup of Prego mushroom tomato sauce, and that's another hack that I use. You got 2 cans of Bush vegetarian chili with beans, and then you got 1 1/2 to 2 cups of water, and then lastly, I use coarse sea salt and ground black pepper for taste. Okay, so we're gonna start with our olive oil first in the pan. And you typically wanna adjust your heat as you need to. If it looks like things are starting to kind of burn a little bit, or they're starting to cook a little too fast, then adjust your heat. So always remember, you're gonna always continuously adjust your heat. And what you're doing, what you're also looking for is to know whether or not your oil is hot enough to start adding your ingredients. If you notice, you saw me lean the skillet forward and you saw me lean it backwards. If that oil runs pretty quickly down when you lean it up or lean it back, then it's ready to start adding your ingredients. If not, then the oil will kind of slowly like slide his way down the skillet. So that's something that you can always use when you're cooking. So you saw me add my onions. I let them get to a point where they were translucent, not burned. You don't want them brown. You want them translucent. And then, as you can see, I have added the tofu. Now, at this point, which I added it, but I didn't film it, I added the soy sauce. That soy sauce is going to add more flavor to your tofu. So always know when you're cooking, you are constantly trying to build flavor. So as the tofu starts to brown slightly, at this point, what I do is add a little bit of, like roughly about a tablespoon of that chili powder, or as far as me, I actually use the McCormick chili seasoning. So I add about a tablespoon of that. What it does is it helps the tofu to brown a little bit more, and it also adds more flavor to the actual tofu itself. So, and again, you're always flavor building. Now, a tool that I use quite often to cook with are grill lids. And if you don't have grill lids, in this situation you can actually just put a lid on the skillet or the pan that you're using. But I love the grill lids because it traps the moisture into whatever it is that you're cooking, but it also adds a little bit of a smoky flavor to it as well. Now you're going to continue to let this cook for a little while longer, roughly about an additional 2 to 3 minutes or so, and let it brown just a little bit more. And you're gonna stir it every so often, just to keep it from burning or even sticking to the pan or skillet. Okay, so now that you have your completed tofu with your sauteed onions, now we move over to the pot and we start our actual chili. So one by one, you go ahead and add your ingredients. And as you add your ingredients, you just want to stir slowly, not too aggressively, but just nice and slow as you add those ingredients in until everything meshes together or come together like it's supposed to. So you want to let it simmer for a little bit and let all of the flavors start to come together. Then we add the tofu. Get that in there nice and good. Then you want to stir that in. Yeah. Get it in there, get it in there. And you want to add your 1.5 to 2 cups of water. You let it simmer a little bit more, put a lid on it. And voila, you have your vegetarian chili with tofu. So let's bowl this up for the final presentation, and here we go. It's pretty hearty. I throw in a little cheese. Now that's vegan cheese, but you can use your regular dairy cheese. But I threw a little cheese shred on top, and then I added a cinnamon roll. And there you go, tofu chili. It's actually pretty good. Oh, I just want to thank you for taking the time to take a look at the video. And oh yeah, the plant-based cookbook is actually out right now. The actual digital copy is ready. Y'all need to check it out.